Let me play some of the rather offensive remarks that Trump has been making over the past 24 hours or so. Listen to this.
We can't stand you. You're a shit vice president. The worst. Arnold Palmer was all man. He took showers with the other pros. They came out of there, they said, oh my God. When you look at Shifty Schiff and some of the others, yeah, they are, to me, the enemy from within. I think Nancy Pelosi is an enemy from within. Your boy leaves the school, comes back, a girl. I have no cognitive. She may have a cognitive problem, but there's no cognitive problem.
So, Alex, millions of Americans are already voting early right now. Does Trump really believe this kind of stuff is going to work?
I, for one, am shocked that Donald Trump would make crass statements right before an election. It doesn't sound like him at all. But I think the thing is, like with Trump, for a lot of his supporters, these remarks are a feature, not a bug. The fact that he just says whatever is on his mind. You often hear when you talk to Trump supporters, he talks like us or he talks for me. That being said, as they were also pointing out earlier, this is an election. One of the key groups is white women, especially white suburban women. You've seen Kamala Harris way outperform Joe Biden with that group. It is unclear that these remarks help with that key demographic.
I mean, Wolf, I wonder how many persuadable voters are left out there. I think a lot of this is baked in and factored in. I think this is a turnout election at this point. And the sliver of individuals who are in the middle or undecided in places like Pennsylvania and elsewhere, I think when they look at Donald Trump and they're trying to decide if they're going to give him their vote or not, they factored in some of his proclivities in terms of the language that he utilizes. I think they're looking at other things, trying to decide, is this enough for me to vote for him because of his stance on the economy or immigration or foreign policy, and the same for the vice president. I don't think this is ultimately going to matter.
But these profane remarks that he's delivering over these past couple days, very, very ugly remarks. Is that what Republicans and voters, especially undecided voters, want to hear from someone who wants to be back in the White House?
I mean, look, as a strategist, you would always advise your candidate to stay with their message. And the message for Donald Trump has consistently been, again, the economy and immigration. That's where he's strong over and over again by sometimes 15 points, depending on the poll that you're looking at. In terms of those voters, maybe it turns some of them off, but does it turn them off enough not to vote for him? I'm just not convinced of that, Wolf, based on the data we've seen thus far. This race is so close for a reason, in spite of all of the things the former president has stated.
I think the extreme rhetoric is a turnoff to some of those voters who are left, although I take your point that there's a dwindling number of truly undecided voters left in this election. I do think for Democrats, so on the flip side, maybe it motivates his MAGA base, but it is also absolutely a turnoff for the Democratic base as the Harris campaign is trying to work to get their voters out. So it gives her an opportunity to do something that I do think matters, which is marry his extreme rhetoric with his extreme record and his extreme actions. And it gives her an opening to say, is this the kind of person you want to send back to the Oval Office? And by the way, he also refuses to acknowledge that he lost in 2020. And he also put 3 justices on the Supreme Court who overturned Roe. He doesn't just use extreme rhetoric. He has an extreme record, and that does matter with independent voters.
I agree with that, and I take that point somewhat, Kate, but is it a compelling enough message to say this person is horrible, vote for me, or let me give you reasons to vote for me? I'm not convinced that the vice president has done a great enough job at convincing those voters in the middle to vote for her because of X, Y, and Z reasons, outside of saying, well, Trump is bad, therefore he shouldn't earn your vote. I don't know if that's enough.
It may not be enough, but it is their current message. You look at all their advertising, you look at all their surrogates on TV, it is unchecked, unhinged. That's the way they are talking about Donald Trump. They basically have gone back to what Joe Biden's strategy was in May and June of this race, which is that we need to make this a referendum on Donald Trump.
And on that point, Alex, I want to play for you and for our viewers out there what former President Obama has been saying about Trump's extreme, very ugly rhetoric. Listen to this.
You would be worried if your grandpa started acting like this. You would. I mean, yeah, right? You'd like call up your brother or your cousin or something and be like, hey, have you seen Grandpa lately? What are we going to do? We do not need to see what an older, loonier Donald Trump looks like with no guardrails.
What do you think?
there is some irony to Democrats now focusing on Donald Trump's age after the last 18 months, insisting that Joe Biden was fine to serve another 4 years. That being said, even before Joe Biden dropped out, there were significant concerns in every single poll about the fact that Donald Trump would be the oldest president ever inaugurated. He's basically released no health files at all. We have no idea how he would perform. And obviously there are some concerns. You know, he's never exactly had the best diet either.
But there's also, I will say, there's a strategic imperative here for the Harris campaign. They're also trying to battle a sense of apathy from voters across the board, and so reminding people that Trump is uniquely crass, is uniquely a threat to democracy. Reminding people that the stakes here are very, very high, and that this isn't just sort of your average election. Republicans debating Democrats on Social Security. I mean, this is the stakes here are much higher, and that's part of what I think President Obama's trying to do there. I think that's part of what Harris and the Harris operation are trying to do in this final push here, is remind voters that this isn't your average election.
I just want to get your thoughts. All of a sudden, Trump shows up at a McDonald's serving French fries.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was smart. Well, if I know some folks in the media have criticized, that they set this thing up for him to do. That's sort of typical. Any more than if the vice president were to go to a restaurant, you want to make sure that that place is secure. Considering the fact that the former president has had 2 assassination attempts against him, I cannot imagine the Secret Service approving him to go to a random McDonald's for an hour or two with random people driving up to the window. I mean, that's just a huge security threat. I think they managed this the right way, and he appeared to have enjoyed himself, and that's important. With 15 days left in this election, he appeared relatable, and that's going to make a difference.